'Cause we're all about solutions, human resolutions. We gotta appreciate. Live gratitude and love, dancing with the drum. All this makes my heart beat. 'Cause we're all about solutions, human resolutions. We gotta appreciate. Live gratitude and love, dancing with the drum. All this makes my heart beat. 'Cause we're all about solutions, human resolutions. We gotta appreciate. Live gratitude and love, dancing with the drum. All this makes my heart beat.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Highlights.
Where's Bert?
Bert? Bert's gone.
Oh, no.
We've got some amazing guests tonight. We've got Paddy the Panda, Jonathan from Some People Like It, Mike BrainDaddy, Danielle Duchess Prim, and Amanda Henn, and of course, Food Expert. Let's go ahead and I want everyone to introduce themselves. Let's start out with Paddy.
Hello, potato. My name is Paddy the Panda. I'm from Ireland. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate that. On TikTok, I'm Paddy the Panda. My content is normally political, a little bit of comedy, and a bit of sexy talk. You know how it is. I did a couple of thirst traps recently that went down really well. Thank you very much. I'm like the Irish, more popular version of BrainDaddy, which you like to tell everybody. And I'm really excited to be here. If you want to follow me on the other stuff, I'm Paddy the Panda on most things. So thanks very much for having me.
Awesome. All right, next we have Jonathan Davis from Some People Like It.
Well, now I want to see those thirst traps from Paddy. I'm Jonathan. I go by Some People Like It on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. I do political humor, political posts, some really bad sketches. And I like to do news stories that people haven't seen or bring context to news stories that everybody's talking about. And so that's me. Yeah, Some People Like It. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Awesome. And
No
next
thirst traps.
No thirst traps. Next we have Mike BrainDaddy YT.
Hi, I'm Paddy the Panda of the Americas. I did a thirst trap too, but I don't think I did it right because I just drank a bunch of beverages, so I think I did it wrong.
It was super moist.
It was very moist. Oh, I do comedy-ish on my channel, and that's all I have to say, so I hate being on this. Okay, great.
All right, next we have a really special guest tonight. For the first time, we have Danielle Duchess Prim. Take it away, lady.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. So I am Duchess Prim, Duchess with a T, the old spelling. I know I'm weird. I do political, socio-political comedy, a little bit of serious, a little bit of passionate. I basically got on TikTok, when the world started falling apart and realized I was too old for it, but I said, let's write it out. On Instagram, I'm Duchess.Prim, and on TikTok or on Twitter, I am Duchess Prim. So follow me if you want to see more comedy, and I love roasting Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you do such a good job at doing it. I live for your comedy. Next we have the beautiful and always hilarious and potty mouth Amanda Henn.
Hey everybody, it's the cussing grandma. That you can find me on everything is Nadineiswoke or Amanda Henn. Whatever, just type it into Google, you'll find me. As somebody said on one of the responses, I'm just a tired, worn, old out actress. Trying to find something to do.
You are amazing. And actually, last but not least, we have Food Expert, who is kind of the creator of all of this. Bert, take it away.
Yeah, so I just started this a couple months ago with Walter Masterson, Lord Timothais, and Maya2960, and we first did our live stream, and then we just kind of went on from there. And we keep on going, and we keep on bringing on new people, and, we bring back the old, bring in some new people like Duchess Prim, and it's just really great, like meeting all the different TikTok creators and, networking, and we just are a community, a tight community of maybe like 40 TikTokers or something. So, I mean, we just keep going. My channel is called Food Expert, and I travel the world trying to show people kind of what's outside of their own country. I travel in Asia, travel in Europe, and travel everywhere. Just, people like in America don't think that it's good to travel. They think, oh no, I'm going to see all the states in America. I'm proud to be an American. And it's just like, no, travel like a Canadian and go see the world.
Ooh.
Don't just stay in your country forever,
Okay.
like a North Korean.
Oh,
So anyways,
sorry to the North Koreans who are watching. Jesus.
Wow.
They're not watching. They're not allowed.
Oh, that's true.
yeah. So anyways, my channel is just about encouraging traveling. Food X Bert. So it's like X and then Bert is my name. So it's like Food X Bert. It's a play on words, joking. But
It's always great when you have to explain it
I
for
knew
Clever.
Patty would come in on that one.
All right, so and I will introduce myself. I am Mermaidmamamaggie or Maggie Reed. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram and TikTok. That's where I spend most of my time. I'll be hosting this evening, and without further ado, we're going to get into our first clip of the night. This is all about the transition of power that is started to happen this week. So, and then we'll be discussing it.
Welcome back. We've got some breaking news. Joe Biden, president-elect, giving his first interview since becoming president-elect. He just sat down with NBC's Lester Holt. Let's get to Kayla Tausche with the exclusive sound. Kayla.
Melissa, that interview wrapping just a few moments ago following President-elect Biden's announcement of some key national security and foreign policy appointments. And in that sit-down interview, Biden says the peaceful transfer of power, a hallmark of American democracy, has begun.
The head of the GSA yesterday unlocked the mechanisms for there to be a formal transition of power, recognizing your status right now. Is that happening on the ground? Are there people talking right now who weren't talking yesterday?
Yes. Immediately, we've gotten outreach from the national security shop, from just across the board. And they're already working out my ability to get presidential daily briefs. We're already working out, meeting with the COVID team in the White House and how to not only distribute, but get from a vaccine being distributed to being a person able to get vaccinated. So I think we're going to not be so far behind the curve as we thought we might be in the past. And there's a lot of immediate discussion, and I must say the outreach has been sincere. It's not been begrudging so far, and I don't expect it to be. So yes, it's already begun.
All right, guys. So let's jump into this. I kind of want to touch on a couple of topics, mainly the transition of power, but also maybe some disbelief on the opposing side. So go.
Ugh.
Transition, is this kind of like the other kind of stuff I've heard about?
Whoa.
Oh my.
We're live, Amanda.
I'm sorry.
She went there.
I couldn't help it. We needed a little levity.
I think it's interesting, though. Trump came out today saying, was it today or this week, saying that he would offer a peaceful transition of power, even, only if Biden won and the Electoral College said that he won the election, which they basically said that we're just waiting until the 14th. So he's exhausted all of his legal battles, but now we're just waiting for him to go to bed.
Did you hear the way he said it, though? It was just so
yeah, but he changed it, y'all. He changed it today to say he will only let Biden in the White House if he can prove that all the 80 million votes were legal.
Of course.
But let's be clear here. Like, Donald Trump can say all he wants. It doesn't make a diddly squat of a difference. At 11:59 on the 20th of January, Donald Trump has to vacate that place regardless. It doesn't matter how much he wants to be there. It doesn't matter how much he believes that there's voter fraud or election fraud. None of that matters. Once the Electoral College votes and once Congress approves that vote on the 6th of January, Donald Trump can do absolutely fucking nothing. And I made a video today saying that if it happens, I will go over and pull him out by the baldy head if I have to myself. So, yeah, I think we're all just panicking just a little bit because it's been almost a month since the election day itself.
I think a lot of people too have this connection that conceding means it has any kind of significant meaning. His supporters especially think that, like, if he doesn't say the words "I concede," he can't. Then Joe Biden can't be president. Little do they know, that's just an act of good sportsmanship, if anything.
Right.
It has no actual legal, substantial anything. There's nothing in the Constitution. It's just hey, I accept that I lost and I'm leaving now.
Honey,
So-
on the
his
20th of
concession is really
January at
irrelevant.
noon, it won't matter if he
Right.
says, I concede or nothing. It's what the Constitution says, not what Donald Trump says.
Correct.
Yeah, we don't need his concession, and I think it's cute
Right.
that he thinks that we do. But
Right.
I think that it's interesting that it has exposed loopholes in our Constitution. You know, everybody's like, "Oh, our Constitution is the greatest document ever." Well, no, there are loopholes. Like, these electors do not have to vote the way the state votes.
Oh, yes, they
It's
do.
just no, they don't. There was actually faithless electors in 2016.
Remember, it went to the Supreme Court, and the
Well, right.
Supreme Court said you have to vote as you were sent.
Yeah, but what about this new Supreme Court?
No,
Honey,
that's
it's already been done. Precedent.
no. There were faithless electors in 2016. They
I
according to the Constitution
understand,
don't
but
have to.
after that happened, it went to the Supreme Court, and in 2017, and the Supreme Court said you have to, and you can be fined if you don't vote the way you did. You don't have any right to vote differently than what you were sent there to do.
But I think is that
Do you trust
the whole
the
argument?
2020
though,
Supreme
is-
Court?
Honey, it won't go
Right.
back to the Supreme Court.
Well,
It's
right. That's what I'm
already
saying. But do
been
you
done.
trust them?
It
Yeah, but
doesn't
so-
matter what they will do. It's already been said what they have to do.
So in terms of the loopholes, so if you look at, say, states can invoke, states can decide if they believe the election was fraudulent. So states can actually take up the issue and then nominate their own electors, and that's a loophole. That's a loophole that I think Jonathan was talking about. That the U.S. Constitution needs to shore up, and certainly those loopholes are going to remain for as long as there's a conservative majority on the Supreme Court, if it would go back to that phase. But what Jonathan said was right. There was 7 votes that
There
went
was
again.
2.
Yes, it was 5 for Hillary and 2 for Donald Trump in 2016. So, and the Supreme Court said that Electoral College voters need to be mindful of the chaotic consequences of their vote, but it doesn't really stipulate the consequences of that vote. Just
Right.
Well,
and
that's
the fine,
right.
the fine
They
is like
actually said they could be
$1,000.
fined.
Right, but
Yeah,
then
fine.
if they can get fined though, is that like, okay, whatever, I'll do it and I get fined?
But let's don't, I think we need
I
to
don't
be
think it's-
really careful about, about stating what can happen and what can't happen unless we have, the actual document in front of us, because we don't want to do kind of what we did. We didn't do anything last week, but we had someone that did. And we have to make sure that we're not spreading misinformation, just like the other side.
But what I
Well,
would
correct.
like to
Yeah, I
see
mean,
is
I'm
a
looking it
lack
up
of
real
ambiguity.
quick. I'm looking up real quick. An article, November 16th of 2020, New York Times, basically saying that it could happen. I understand what you're saying, Nadine, but there is a loophole and there is a possibility, despite other rulings. But you're right until I research it further and 100% sure. But the point is that there are loopholes. They're not going to work. It's not going to happen. I don't want to make anybody worried that it could possibly happen, because it's not going to. But it does exist. I mean, that possibility does exist, and the documents that we have as far as the Constitution are not perfect. And that's really the point I was trying to make.
But the other thing we have to remember,
Real quick, I'm going to interject. I also find that right now, yes, there are the loopholes. I'm in agreement with that. But what I'm finding right now is that we have a complete kind of disbelief in this country that this election is actually done and Joe Biden will be the president. There's such a divide in our country. Can you guys speak on that a little bit?
Well, I would blame, I don't know if you can blame one person for that, but I think what we really have to take into consideration after this year is what has been spotlighted. Right. There is so much division because there has been this lift of covering over all of the things in this country that we have kind of been hiding and just excusing away, i.e. racism and homophobia and xenophobia. And it's always been kind of on the minds, especially on the people on the left. But now it's really exposed, and the people that were saying it doesn't exist, it's not real, are the ones lashing out now saying Trump 2020 and MAGA, because they don't want to actually work through the motive behind those ideals. And they don't want to understand why they necessarily feel that way. So I think that Trump has exacerbated that, but he's also kind of, oddly to thank, for unveiling all of the issues that we have and making it so obvious. So now we have a starting point, again, of where to go from here.
Well, we also have to realize that it's only one side that's pushing the theory that the election is not over.
Absolutely.
And until they see Joe Biden pick up his hand and place it on the Bible and take the oath of office, honey, it's over. And nothing they say is going to change that fact. Nothing that Trump says is going to nothing's going to work. It's over. And
well, speaking of change, guys, I think that the biggest thing that we do have to kind of focus on right now is winning this Senate, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I think we're all in agreement that this is the most important fact, because whether or not Joe Biden is going to be president, he is president, whether or not, he is in office, nothing is going to get done until we have, Senate control. So with that, I'm going to play a clip real quick from the Colbert Show.
Ooh.
Hello, Georgia. Remember me? It's your old buddy, Stephen Colbert. Did you enjoy voting in the 2020 election? Well, congratulations. You have qualified for the chance to vote again. And I'm here to help you do it. It's time for part one of our one-part series, Better Know a Runoff. Tonight, the greatest state in the nation, Georgia, the voting peaches. Yes, Georgia, the state's so nice, they're voting there twice. And what makes Georgia the greatest? Well, for starters, both of your Senate seats are being decided in runoff elections on January 5th that will decide the balance of the U.S. Senate. It's all because Georgia law requires candidates to get more than 50% of the vote, and in the November election, no one managed to clear the majority threshold. The majority threshold, of course, also the name of the worst-selling John Grisham novel. Here's how you can get started voting in the Georgia Senate runoffs right now. For more information, as well as links to all the resources you need, check out betterknowaballot.com/GA. Okay, first make sure you're registered to vote. If you are a U.S. citizen and Georgia resident who is 18 by January 5th, you can register for the runoff election even if you weren't registered or old enough during the November election. Most Georgians can register online, or you can submit a form to your county board of registrars. The deadline to register is December 7th, a date that will live in democracy. Now, once you're registered, you can vote early in person starting December 14th with a photo ID. Find your county's hours and advance voting locations on our website. You can also vote early absentee. First, request your ballot online. The link is on our website. Ballots are sent out as early as November 18th, so to make sure you get your ballot in time to vote, request it now. Now, when you get your ballot, fill it out carefully, follow all directions, and sign where indicated. Return your completed ballot to your registrar's office or a secure drop-off location in your county before close of polls on Election Day. You can also return it by mail to the address provided on the envelope. If mailed, you will need a stamp, and since your ballot must be received by January 5th, the U.S. Postal Service recommends sending it no later than December 29th. Play it safe and do it right away. You can also vote at your polling place with photo ID on the day of the runoff, January 5th. Wear a mask, wash your hands, go vote. So there you are, Georgia. Know another smart Georgian who wants to vote in the runoff? Just send them this video and spread the word using the hashtag BetterKnowRunoff.
I would love that.
It's a good one. He's amazing. So let's talk about, the importance of this, but also I want to touch upon kind of what happens with a lot of kind of noise on Twitter, or not Twitter, on TikTok, that came with a lot of kind of misinformation, even while meeting. Please, and go.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of Oh, go ahead, Jonathan.
No, but well, I was just going to say real quick that Maggie had messaged me about that story. It was this TikToker who had a TikTok about people being purged from the Georgia rolls, and it went around quick. Everybody was amplifying it left and right. And Maggie had messaged me and said that she couldn't find any stories about it. So I dug into it real quick and found out really fast that there's no legitimacy to that at all. And I even got down to Fair Fight, which is an organization that Stacey Abrams is associated with, who said that it was misinformation. And so I think it kind of points out that we need to be careful of our own confirmation bias, and we need to verify stories because, you know, Georgia's had issues with elections. Stacey Abrams was robbed of the governorship because of their elections and their voter purges. So we wanted that story. We felt like that story could be true. And I think a lot of us ran with it without actually verifying it first. So it's kind of like a lesson to us, like, hey, we need to verify. We need to make sure our confirmation bias is in check.
I fell for it.
Real quick, I just want to say, like, I didn't do it justice on TikTok because Jonathan wasn't available to do the video on it. But that information absolutely needs to get out. One of my biggest fears is misinformation and being on the wrong side of telling people what's happening and it being false. And it caught like fire. And the worst part about it, I think, is that the damage has kind of already been done, at least in our kind of stratosphere. Because people aren't even seeing half of the videos that they did when they were talking about the voter suppression and stuff like that. So I think we need to be mindful.
The only good thing about it is I think a lot of people checked to make sure they were still on the rolls, and I think it will generate more people to go and vote. And I hated that I fell for it, and I made a TikTok on it.
I actually don't think that it's like for sure that it's untrue though. Like,
yeah, I'm never sure.
No, I mean, it could be true. That's why everyone needs to go double check that they're registered to vote. And otherwise you're just going to be showing up there and maybe 100,000 people will show up and be like, oh, you can't vote. And it won't be a story. So, I mean, whether or not that TikToker found the 10 people that were unregistered, I mean, if that is true, then that alone is a pretty big story, but we just don't know. We don't have that actual evidence in front of us, but neither did the news organizations that said that was a false story or that was a false, like, impossibility. Because honestly, we've got Texas that is making 100,000 votes that were by car, like people dropped off in the boxes, and they just canceled all those votes. So, I mean, honestly, it's going on in multiple states.
Yeah,
they tried to. But what's going to stop the most important election? This is the biggest one with Georgia. So the Republicans are going to try everything they can. That governor is a really horrible person, honestly. That governor didn't even know about the coronavirus. He said he didn't know about the coronavirus being infectious after 15 days. I knew about that on January 20th. He didn't know that, and that was April 2nd when he came out and he decided, it is infectious, we're going to close down Georgia. And then they only closed down Georgia for like a week and a half or 2 weeks almost. So it was really a pathetic shutdown that Georgia did. So with this kind of government of Georgia, I can expect anything to come out of this government because they are not liable. So that's why I disagree with you guys that story really has got some possibility to it. Even though the other people are coming out saying that's impossible, it's still possible because I don't know
I don't disagree.
how a governor can
I don't disagree either. And
I don't
how
disagree
can
that it's possible, but that's why it was tantalizing because it was possible.
Yeah.
But I think the main point is that we need to figure out who do we trust to give us that information. And so Stacey Abrams, as far as voter registration in Georgia, is somebody that we need to trust. So if these people are getting deregistered, they need to take that to Stacey Abrams, and Stacey Abrams needs to let us know. Because so if Stacey Abrams is saying this is misinformation, tap the brakes, then let's tap the brakes until they figure it out. But I agree with you. There's nothing bad about people checking their registration. This is the most important election for the decade coming up.
It's not hurting anything.
Right, I agree with that.
To put that story simply, it was just a lesson of checking your voter registration and then checking it again. And ultimately kind of got the word out like, hey, screenshot your confirmation, take a picture of it, just so you have that backup. So while part of it may be misinformation, another part is a helpful, like, okay, let me go double check real quick. It takes what, a couple of minutes to go check? Because you don't want to like go there and find out you're not registered anymore. So ultimately the benefit of it was just people getting out there to check.
Well, and I think also...
I just wanted to add there. It's a bit like how it took people like myself and other people to convince people to accept that Joe Biden was going to be the next president, because there is a track record in Georgia from 2 years ago whereby 700,000 registered voters were removed, and I understand that they were removed because they were deemed to not be living in state or passed away, etc. But I think it was about 70,000 people were removed by accident, and those people couldn't vote in the Georgia governor's race 2 years ago. So people don't have a trust for the system anymore. So it's very easy for people to believe stories like that, even if it's only anecdotal evidence of 10 people being removed. People literally believe that history is repeating itself 2 years ago and now today, just like 4 years ago when Hillary Clinton didn't win the election and people were shocked and took 4 years to get over.
Well, and I think a couple of things we need to remember too is, as much as I love CNN, and I will admit that all day long, they live off of ratings, right? So they, you have to take all of their stories with a grain of salt. Of course, they're going to have truth to their stories, but the fact that they were immediately covering that story kind of gave me pause of like, let's do a little bit more digging. Also, we need to realize that Mitch McConnell has made an entire history of being one of the smartest candidates and the smartest politicians when it comes to money. And he is hoping that they win, or that the Republicans win those Senate seats, because he wants to stay in power. So he is putting everything that he can behind those races too. I've been getting texts from him all day, and I don't know how they got my number or why they think I'm a Republican, but whatever. So I think that there's a lot of noise because people are trying to create chaos when it's just a matter of check your registration, make sure you get out to vote. And if you voted for Biden and you want Biden to be able to get anything done in the next 4 years, we have to make sure that we flip Georgia all the way blue.
And I totally agree. And what I've been seeing is some amazing people on the ground registering young people and making sure that we've got that demographic of young kids that are turning 18 before this next election. And there are people out there, registering from cars and really doing some really wonderful work. And so I'm really grateful for that. And I also think that because we are on social media, TikTok, I just will say there is a responsibility there, because we can't just always fall into the loophole of, it's entertainment, but people are actually looking at social media as actual news these days. So it's a really important thing that we make sure that what we're saying, even if it, can have some base to it. Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Bert. But we also show another side to it as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, even Van Jones talked about that. He said, we are the media when it comes to, anybody that has any kind of platform. It is up to us to make sure that we are communicating correct information, even if it's in a funny way and a satirical way. Like it is our responsibility to not mislead people purposefully.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, we have another person here, a wonderful guest. I hope your kids went to bed well.
Yes,
we have Christina
and with 7 A's, 7 A's.
Can you please introduce your page and go?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Christina. I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. My handle is Christinaaaaaaap with 7 A's, exactly 7 A's. And I basically am a COVID medical education person, I guess. So I educate about COVID a lot. I address misinformation and myths that are out there. I call people out without any shame, people who are spreading awful BS about COVID. And that's what I do. And I have a lot of fun with it. And sometimes inject a little humor in there, but, try to keep it professional. But sometimes it's hard when people really push my buttons.
I have that same problem.
Exactly.
Welcome, Christina. We are so happy to have you.
Thank you.
Right now, I'm going to jump right into a clip about Trump pardoning Flynn. And then we'll discussion on this.
Tonight, a show of presidential power undimmed by his electoral defeat. President Trump wiping out the conviction of his former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, who had pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI in the Russia investigation. The president on Twitter: "It is my great honor to announce that General Michael T. Flynn has been granted a full pardon. I know you will now have a truly fantastic Thanksgiving." The president's clemency was anticipated, but still striking, as he long complained that Flynn had been mistreated by the Justice Department.
We went through 2.5 years of ruining people's lives, like General Flynn and many others, ruining their lives.
Fired in 2017 for lying about his contact with the Russian ambassador, this year Flynn asked to withdraw his guilty plea, and the Justice Department attempted to drop its case, but a judge had not signed off, leaving Flynn in legal peril. Separately today, President Trump used his voice to air grievance, even desperation.
This election has to be turned around.
The president on speakerphone, as his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, appeared before Pennsylvania Republican state legislators to make complaints about election procedures.
This was an election that we won easily. We won it by a lot.
Minutes later in Wilmington, President-elect Joe Biden offered a starkly different message.
Let's be thankful for democracy itself.
Biden called for unity and compassion, acknowledging the many hardships brought on by COVID this holiday season.
All right, guys.
God, I can't stand that.
Talk to me.
Yeah,
Well,
so I just want to
so-
say real quick about how much of a joke of a press conference that was. That was him on a phone in front of a microphone babbling incoherent lies about the election. That was hilarious and pathetic.
I just want to start off by saying that when you accept a pardon, the Supreme Court has indicated that in and of itself is an admission of guilt. So let's just be very clear. In accepting the pardon, Mike Flynn told the world, yes, I spied for not one but two foreign governments against the United States. I am a traitor, and Donald Trump rewarded me for it.
Well,
that should piss everybody off.
The man pled guilty twice. I mean, he, with the best attorneys money can buy, chose to plead guilty twice. He's guilty. There's no doubt about it. So.
And accepting that pardon, said it the third time. It's just like recounting the votes in Georgia. I'm all for it. You just lost 3 times.
And the
Like, is he
language that was
trying to
used by
make a
Donald Trump.
point?
So
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, is he trying to set a precedent of, look, I pardoned him. Somebody pardon me. Like, nobody's gonna pardon you because we don't care as much about your federal crimes. We care about your state crimes.
Right. Southern District of New York, maybe.
So I'm hearing a lot of, so there's I don't know if it's misinformation or not, but is it true that he no longer has the ability to do his Fifth Amendment rights, and he can possibly testify now against
That
Trump?
is correct.
Is that
When
actually
you accept
true?
a pardon, if you ever are called as a witness, you cannot use your Fifth Amendment rights.
Because
in federal
the
cases,
Fifth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment says that you don't have to testify because you might incriminate yourself. But because you've accepted a pardon, you've already said that yes, you are guilty. Therefore, you can't incriminate yourself further, and therefore it doesn't apply to you.
So then, is the Trump administration, are they really that stupid, or is Trump really that stupid?
Of course they are.
To not
Yes.
to not know this, or like that's my do they
Honey,
really not
Trump
know
doesn't
that?
know his middle name.
It's genius with a J.
Genius.
But another thing that I just want to touch on, the language that was being used by Donald Trump and Flynn and others was almost as though instead of giving the man a pardon, they were giving him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It was almost like it was great honor and great esteem that I give this man this great reward. And it's absolutely vile and disgusting. And of course his base ate all that up. But everybody else should be really, really pissed off about it.
Yeah. But also it makes his obstruction of justice case against Donald Trump that much stronger.
Even
I mean, if you're
better.
if you're pardoning the guy that is at the center of your obstruction of justice case, that just only strengthens it. So, I mean, he's done himself no favors in many different ways.
I think that this is just the beginning of the pardons. We're just seeing the like the icing is just like Flynn is the very first one, but we're going to see people paying Trump direct money, direct deposit. And he's going to be getting a lot of random people and maybe even Kyle Rittenhouse, even though that's a state crime, he's going to, I don't know, maybe figure out a way to get him off. Who knows? Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever the guy's name is.
I don't think he can do that.
Yeah, probably not. But he's going to be, I'm just saying, he's going to be getting everybody off. Like anybody with any money to send to Donald's way.
Maggie, you did it last week.
I don't think you heard yourself there, Bert. I don't think you heard yourself, Bert.
You get a pardon.
He's going to get everyone off. It's great.
I don't want Trump
good man,
getting me
Donald.
off of anything.
Yeah, shocking.
And then it was really funny when he was saying like, "You're just a little guy or
as he sat at that little
nobody."
desk.
Yeah.
With his little hands.
Yes, he sat in his little desk with his little hands talking about if somebody else is a nobody. That was just great.
Don't talk to the president.
You're nobody till somebody loves you.
Yeah, girl.
Whoever gave him that desk, though, just chef's kiss. That was a beautiful
Oh
show.
my! It was the best.
Like
it was the
deserve
best.
a Medal of Freedom.
Right?
He got to sit at the kids' table.
What?
I mean, between that and Four Seasons Landscaping, just his staff is just top notch.
It's also really sad. Like we are an international joke. And
Yeah.
you know what? Honestly, I feel like we have had it coming because America has been touting this. We are the best. We are the best. We are the best. But we are just the best bullies, right? So I think that the fact that like literally the veil has been lifted from everything, and now we have to be like, maybe we should like dial it back, be a little bit more humble, and actually care about other people once we get this clown out of office and his tiny hands go with him.
Y'all
on
spark
that-
these songs with every word y'all say. He had it coming.
Yes.
He had it coming.
I just wanted to add there that Joe Biden is starting to tweet about how, you know, they're going to unite the world and you know, lead the world to change and all of that. Well, let's be very clear. The rest of the world doesn't want your leadership anymore.
No.
You can get your own house in order and you can come be part of the team. But the last 4 years showed us that we don't need your leadership. We don't need it at all, and we don't want it. Because your house, 80 million people voted for Biden, 73 million people voted for Trump, and 80 million people didn't bother their arse at all. So sort your own house out and then come be part of the team. But don't think you're just going to get rid of Donald Trump and come in with a big cape and save the day. It's not welcome.
Yeah, even though Biden won, I kind of feel like we're still in the minority because you have the 80 million people who didn't vote, who should have voted. You have the 73 million people who voted for Trump. So I feel like we're still outnumbered in some weird way by like people who just don't care
Trump
about
treated the world like a lot of people have thought for years. You know, ever since World War II, I think the American psyche has had, well, we paid for everything. We were the ones that won the war. It didn't matter that, you know, you had all sorts of other people that were fighting, and more Russians died than anybody else fighting the Nazis. But we've had this attitude like if it were not for us, y'all would be nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true. But
That's
a lot
Trump's
of
ego.
people have felt that way. And I've heard a lot of people say, you know, that they need to pay us back and all this kind of stuff. Well, honey, we were fighting for ourselves too.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And just on a selfish note, Ireland has had you know conflict and terrorism for as long as I've been alive, and trouble in the north of Ireland and bombings and terrorism, the IRA and all of that. That was all sorted in 1998 with the Good Friday peace agreement, the peace deal. But Donald Trump put that at jeopardy because of his lust for a trade deal with the UK to dismantle the NHS. And that really put significant strain on the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland.
Yep.
And we were really fearful that we were going to return to the sectarianism and the violence and bombings in London and Manchester and Derry and Dublin, all because Donald Trump wanted economic gains for himself and didn't really understand the socio-political scenario in the region of Ireland. And that's just one tiny example of how Donald Trump pretty much shat all over the map of the world.
I think
But
that is a great point. Like there are ripple effects to what Trump does, pulling out of the Iran deal, pulling out of the Paris Accord, all these other things. There are ripple effects that we don't necessarily see because we're in our own little USA bubble. the things he's done, like Paddy has said, have ripple effects throughout the world. And yeah, I think they're kind of sick of our leadership at this point.
Well, and this mess today where they killed the guy in Iran, it was probably, and I have no way of knowing this, but a lot of people thinks that, Israel had something to do with it. And, I'm Jewish, so I can say whatever I want to say. But Netanyahu has been up Trump's butt for the last 4 years. And, Netanyahu is a power-hungry piece of poop just like Trump. And American Jews don't like him, I can assure you. And we're not Zionist, and I'm not going to take Israel over being an American. I don't know anybody over there, and I'm sure not going.
and I just wanted to add to that, and I spoke about this today. I have absolutely no doubt it was Israel that was behind this assassination. But if you look at the last few months, the normalization of diplomacy between Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates, and it's all just to consolidate the Israeli power and bloc in the region. And of course, Israel have always had a problem with Iran. That's what it's always been about. And that's why the USA have just sold, millions of dollars worth of missiles to the UAE to make sure that they signed those agreements with Israel. And it's you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And now because of that, a scientist was assassinated today. And now there's a fleet of destroyer ships moving into the Gulf because Donald Trump needs to try and protect the region all of a sudden. And now everything just got a little bit more tense because there's too many egos and too many tiny penises. Sorry.
Honey, he probably gave Netanyahu the okay to kill the guy because it was just 2 weeks ago that Donald Trump was trying to strike Iran, and his military men said, "No, baby, you don't want to do that. It'll start a World War III." That's how stupid he is.
I wonder how many things, along with Amanda was saying, I wonder how many things Trump has wanted to do where the generals have just said no. I mean, seriously, I bet they have said no a lot.
Well, just think about him taking those two, the planes out of the air that goes and flies over and takes the pictures of Russia.
A whole other deal. Yeah, the Open Skies Treaty.
In the name of God?
The Open Skies Treaty, exactly.
His generals just scold him like he's a child. Like, no, you're not doing that. You're not doing that today, Donald.
But I want to bomb Iran.
Yeah, but I want
to, Daddy. I want to.
I think
you can imagine.
He is so desperate to have some kind of legacy other than because he really genuinely thinks himself as a wartime president. And he thought that, coronavirus makes me a wartime president, but he completely shit the bed on that. So now he is like, well, what can I do that makes me like the hero on the way out? But everything he touches turns not to gold, but to garbage. And it blows my mind. Like the more and more he tries, it's like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And he needs to just see himself out. Like it would do him more favors to just stop while he's ahead and concede peacefully and leave. I know he never will, but it's like, that he is destroying his legacy. And I'm kind of here for it because I hate him, but I'm also just really done with having him having space in my brain rent free.
And it's oxymoronic because he's destroying his legacy, but in his mind, he's creating it. So he needs to make sure that everybody is saying, make sure that everybody knows that I got the vaccine, not Biden. Make sure that everybody knows that I brought the troops home at the week before inauguration and not Biden. Now it's I attacked Iran. I'm the savior of the Middle East, not Biden. So he thinks he's protecting his legacy. And in reality, he's figuratively blowing it up. But again, I can imagine him in the Oval Office with just walking around with a big red button going, "Can I push the button yet, please? I'm so desperate to push this button, please. I want to push the red button more than I want to sleep with my own daughter."
Do you think they gave him a fake button?
Yeah, I would say probably it's a fake button.
They gave him one of those buttons from the office.
Not push the button on him.
So Gerardo Rivera, he said that we should name the vaccine after Trump. I think we can name the vaccine and the disease after Trump. We can say the Trump flu and whatever. To get rid of the Trump flu, you got to take this Trump vaccine. I think that's fine.
I'm not putting Trump inside of me at all, ever. There will never be a Trump in me. I stand my ground.
You're not going to make the Barron joke?
Well, I mean, I could make the Baron joke, but
No, don't talk about it. He's a kid.
I'd be arrested.
All right.
Well, Trump was a kid also 60 years ago.
He is a child.
Oh my.
He needs to be spanked.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
All right. So speaking of kids,
Can I just ask Christina? Can I ask Christina what do you think in terms of Donald Trump trying to take credit for this vaccine and trying to push it, and Geraldo trying to say, oh, we should call it the Trump vaccine, or it should be a little orange pill. What you're on the front lines? What do you think?
You could probably guess what I think about that. I mean, obviously, I don't think he doesn't deserve any credit for anything good or anything positive that's coming out of this pandemic. Zero. Like he deserves zero credit. He is the absolute epitome of a failure when it comes to this pandemic and how he's managed it. So I think you know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
I want to use Christina's videos as replies to all my comments. Like all these people that comment on my videos, I just want to say, watch
just send them my way.
Whatever.
Yes.
I'm down with it.
Yeah, I try to tag you in videos now where people are fighting me with coronavirus. But just you handle it.
Yeah, just send them my way.
Come fight my battles, Christina.
Yeah. All right, you guys. I'm going to pivot for a second, and speaking of children, I'm going to show a clip of Kyle Rittenhouse, and I do want to talk about this and what.
This morning, the teen charged with killing 2 men in Wisconsin during the Jacob Blake protests is out of jail. Kyle Rittenhouse posted $2 million bail Friday, coming up with the money with the help of MyPillow founder and Trump supporter Michael Lindell and former Silver Spoons actor Ricky Schroeder. Schroeder even posing for a photo with Rittenhouse after his release. Rittenhouse still faces numerous charges, including first-degree homicide. He claims he was acting in self-defense.
So I want to start with this one because I have a controversial take on it. So I think that this is very multifaceted, right? Like I think that he has had a lot of very poor influences on his life. I also think that the fact that he lacks a frontal lobe had a lot to play into this. I think the fact that he had easy access to weapons and the fact that he was white had the most to do with it. I don't know how I feel about him being tried as an adult. I think that it is appropriate. And I think that if that is where the courts want to go, that's fine. But I also think he is a child. And I don't know.
17 years old.
Yes, but I mean, I think of myself at 17 and I think of myself at 34. And I mean, I didn't kill anyone at 17, but I was a very, very different person. And I almost wonder,
but you knew not to kill somebody at 17.
It's true. No, you're absolutely right. And I feel like this is where I am conflicted about this whole situation.
Honey, this is what we've done in America is we've let people off and go, oh, well, they couldn't help. No, he's 17 years old.
I mean, I'm not saying he couldn't help it.
Yeah. When I was 17 years old, I knew not to go kill people.
So just to be clear,
I am not excusing. I am not
now,
at
what's
all.
This about
do not take that as me. I'm not excusing what he did at all. I think that.
But we
other
all
parties
have
need
to take personal responsibility.
Absolutely, and I think the people that have so poorly influenced him need to be held responsible as well. Like, why have his parents not been brought into this?
She drove him.
His mother drove him there,
right?
His mother drove him.
His mother did.
Dropped him off, yes. And the police officers that just saw him walking with this huge weapon and gave him water after other people are yelling and screaming he just killed someone. Where are the other people? I feel like he shouldn't be the only one held responsible for what happened. I think that's where my conflict is.
So there's clearly a failure and a chain reaction here. But when it comes to whether he should be tried as an adult or not, the key word here is just intent. Did he intend to go from his house to the scene to use lethal force in any way, shape, or form? And the evidence that's available certainly looks that way. But I'm also conscious of not trialing him in the public eye. But if they can prove intent in any way, shape, or form, he's going to be tried as an adult. And if they can prove intent, he will be.
Honey, the intent was he drove 200 miles. That's the intent.
To protect property that wasn't his.
Yeah.
Oh,
true.
Why
property
would
that he
you
didn't even
go?
own.
Right.
Why would you go to another state and get involved in something that had nothing to do with you if you didn't intend to do something? It makes no sense. It's just like when I go to a restaurant and parents won't make their children behave. It's like,
Why is
dear
his mother
God
not an
above.
accessory?
Well, she should be.
Why didn't his dad and mom go with him and like actually stay with him and monitor the situation? If you're going to go protect people and stuff, you should probably bring your dad because you're only 17 years old. You go in there with a gun, you're just getting dropped off by your mom like it's a youth camp.
Wasn't his mom doing something else involved in that kind of...
Honey, they're all involved in that malicious stuff. His mom,
Yeah, because
his
she's
dad.
like a crazy gun person too.
Oh, yeah. And then she went to Wisconsin to a GOP fundraiser, and they gave her a standing ovation for carrying him to Wisconsin. What is wrong with these people?
That's the one thing. I mean, when she says it's multifaceted, go ahead, Bert. I've talked to them.
There ain't no multifacet to it. He's a killer.
I just can't believe it's the My Pillow guy that is getting him out. We had the My Pillow guy. We had the My Pillow guy giving us false information about the coronavirus in the very beginning, and then the My Pillow guy also goes to get Kyle Rittenhouse out, and then it's just a nonstop, endless of a drama. Like you can't make this stuff up. Honestly, My Pillow guy is in the news again.
If My Pillow guy and Rick Schroeder are your go-to people right now, your life sucks. Your life is awful.
Well, I
If you got the
know.
My Pillow guy.
I know the man that turned Ricky Schroeder because Ricky Schroeder was in a flick with John Boyd, and I love John Boyd. He's wonderful to me, but he's a political crazy man. And but when I'm with him, I mean, he's fabulous. But we don't talk about politics. But anybody that raised Angelina Jolie, there's something wrong with them, honey.
Can you ask him why he chose to be in the movie Anaconda? I need to know the answer to this question.
Cause they paid him money.
Oh, God, he was awful.
Can I just?
I have to interject. If I was ever asked to be in a movie with Jennifer Lopez, I would hop on that.
Whoa.
J-Lo for life.
Can I just come back a second? Because there was a congressman who posted, I can't remember his name, but he posted 2 tweets, and he was talking about Kyle Rittenhouse for Congress.
Yeah.
And there was somebody put up a tweet. It was like, I'd love to live in an America where Colin Kaepernick is not villainized and Kyle Rittenhouse is not nominated for Congress. You know what I mean? So that's the world that America is living in right now, whereby one side believes that a murderer, in my opinion, a murderer should be a public representative, and a guy who tried to draw attention to something that was plain to see, but we were blind to it, is the most villainized man in the last 5 years in America. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make about it being multifaceted, is that not just that his trial and his upbringing and the other people that might be responsible, like his parents, that's one thing, but just the heroification, like they idolize this person now. That's an issue. Like 30% of the population idolizes this 17-year-old kid that went to a protest with a gun and shot people.
Yeah, you think like 73 million people, 73 million people at least, look at this kid as their victor, as their hero, and I'm like, he murdered 2 people.
I have something to say. Have you guys seen If Anything Should Happen, I Love You? Okay. I'm a mom.
Tell us about it, Maggie.
No, I mean, the thing is, it's actually it's kind of a TikTok trend right now to watch the movie, but before you watch the movie, take a shot of yourself and then watch the movie and then afterwards. Because it's just a thing they're doing. I watched it, and safe to say, it's pretty much all about school shootings.
Ooh.
And Kyle Rittenhouse, this whole thing has that vibe. Written all over it. I think we can all agree. Honestly, there's nothing more terrifying to me than this whole sensationalizing men with guns and being a Proud Boy and going to schools or going places with your guns. Like, it is seriously terrifying as a mother. I don't want to send my kid to school because it's terrifying to me. But I implore you, go watch the movie. It's really, really powerful.
Right. Like imagine glorifying the Columbine shooters as heroes.
no.
You know, like that's kind of how, I mean, that's what Kyle Rittenhouse is. He wasn't in school probably because of COVID, right? So God only knows, he might have shot up his school at some point. But it's almost like you are giving a hero title to someone like the kids who shot up Columbine, or the kids who shot those 26 elementary school, you know, people, or the guy the guy who went into the movie theater and shot 12 people. Like those are villains, but then somehow Kyle Rittenhouse is a hero. I don't
the guy that really made Kyle Rittenhouse a hero is 100% Tucker Carlson, which is the biggest hypocrite in Fox News, I would say. But not just a hypocrite, but he is making Kyle Rittenhouse seem like he's such a good guy. And he's just egging on for this kind of behavior to happen again, like a 17 or 16-year-old to go out with a gun again. Like, this is okay. And Tucker Carlson is encouraging this behavior.
Like, that should never have been aired.
I just
like,
have
ever.
one thing to say. Anybody here buys one of them darn pillows, you're going to hear something from me.
I don't want that.
And I just wanted to add there, just because something Maggie said there. In Ireland, there's not a single child who goes to school every day worried that a gunman is going to come into the school. Not a single child any day goes to school worrying about a mass shooting or guns being used to threaten their lives.
Yeah,
so
my daughter was set to start kindergarten this year, and a huge part of that experience is that they start doing drills, active shooter drills. And for me as a mom, it is beyond terrifying I know back in the day people had to do bombing drills and whatnot, but this is if you know what an active shooter drill is like, you have to close the door, lock the door, and push furniture up against the door, and everyone has to go hide. Not some kind of, this is not what reality should be in our country.
I had the same training and job. Like, I mean, I know it's worse with kids, obviously, but like even our employment places are doing the same training. It's like, here's what happens. You run. Like, that's what they told us to do in one of our training classes. Run and try to fight him. Like, what? Like, but for children, it's like, this is what children are having to get trained on in class. I remember in California, the worst thing we ever had training on is earthquake drills. Like, hide under your desk. You're going to be saved from an earthquake. But like now it's, shove furniture against your door in case someone is in your hallway shooting up your teachers and your fellow students. Like, that's terrifying. That's
I think it's interesting when you make the juxtaposition of people that are okay with school shooting preparation, all those mass shooting preparation at school, and they're not okay with masks. Like, you're okay with this preparation, people your kids getting shot up at school, but you're not okay with the safety preparation of just wearing a freaking mask to Walmart.
Well,
we've got schools that have metal detectors. We have these active shooter drills. Christina, I know you're a mom too. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, my kids are still so little. They're only 2 and 4, so I haven't really thought about all of that yet. But my sister's a teacher, and so I've heard from her over the years about how this has impacted how she manages her classroom. I mean, it's awful. I feel the same way as you do, Maggie. It's like it's not the way it should be. Kids should not have to think about that. They should feel safe in their schools.
And it's becoming a money-making operation. So there was a comment just there about school bags. When you're more worried about how bulletproof your child's backpack is rather than the quality of the books that are in the backpack, then that's a massive problem that you guys have. And that's only going to get worse because, as we know in America, greed trumps everything.
Oh, yeah. Honey, there's still people that don't believe that the students at the elementary school is even real.
Sandy Hook.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Alex Jones. Alex Jones. Then a couple
there's
TikToks on
some
him.
people. There's
That's
some
so
people that
horrifying.
are dying. There's some people that are dying for COVID, and they still don't even believe that COVID is even real. I don't know if Christina has ever seen this before, but I mean, this is happening in some places like North Dakota and South Dakota.
Yeah.
Christina, what do you think about these people that are
Hold
still
on real quick.
denying?
I think that's the perfect segue to start talking about COVID, because Christina is our COVID expert, and I want to show a little clip real quick. Let's get into this because I'm coming home for the holidays and also COVID. So let's talk.
We're going to begin with the breaking news. With millions of Americans on the move tonight, health experts worry what is usually one of the country's biggest nights for travel may also become one of its most dangerous. As we come on the air tonight, one doctor is warning Thanksgiving will become the mother of all super spreader events as people let down their guard and their masks. But even before Americans gather around the table tomorrow, the rate of new cases of coronavirus is growing astronomically tonight. 2.3 million people have been infected nationwide in just the past 2 weeks. And more than 2,000 have been reported dead in the past 24 hours. That's the highest single-day death toll in more than 6 months. Late today, President-elect Joe Biden called on weary Americans to wear masks and not surrender to fatigue, saying, "We're at war with the virus, not with each other." So there is a lot of new reporting for you and your family tonight, including the latest holiday forecast. And our team is standing by to cover it all. CBS's Chris Van Cleve is going to lead us off tonight from Reagan National Airport. Good evening, Chris.
Margaret, we hit a pandemic high at airport checkpoints like the one behind me here on Sunday. Since then, Monday and Tuesday, those numbers have ticked down a bit, but the expectation is still up to 50 million Americans will take to the roads or the skies to travel for Thanksgiving, and that is exactly what the CDC is urging people not to do.
Some of the longest lines of the pandemic at Seattle's airport, a sign of Americans on the move tonight, despite blunt warnings from public health officials again pleading for people to stay home this Thanksgiving.
By making that sacrifice, you're going to prevent people from getting infected.
But millions are going anyway. Romeo Garcia left Maryland this afternoon for his parents in Greenville, North Carolina.
The holidays are really the only times where I could be able to see my family.
Do you worry at all about bringing the coronavirus home with you?
Not at all. I've been tested. I'm negative.
But that wasn't enough for Tom Wilson. He made the agonizing decision not to spend Thanksgiving with his family.
It just seemed like a risk that wasn't worth taking.
Trying to stop out-of-control spread, there's a growing patchwork of restrictions in cities and states. 14 states and Washington, D.C. call for mandatory testing or of quarantine requirements for travelers. New York City police are setting up checkpoints at bridges and tunnels, and Maryland state troopers are checking if bars and restaurants are following the rules. A stay-at-home advisory is now in place in Pennsylvania, and tonight, a Thanksgiving booze ban at bars and restaurants. In L.A., outdoor dining shuts down tonight. From coast to coast, governors and mayors are practically begging people not to gather.
Don't make it harder on those frontline workers.
To act like it's a normal Thanksgiving is to deny reality.
We are extremely concerned about Thanksgiving weekend becoming a super spreader event.
Small gatherings are now a major driver of the virus spread.
Now I'm in the hospital and can't see my family.
15 members of a Texas family contracted COVID at a birthday lunch. They made this emotional plea.
Please, don't be like my family and ignore the CDC guidelines.
But relief for a COVID-weary nation could be just months away. Operation Warp Speed expects up to 110 million Americans, 1/3 of the country, to be vaccinated by February.
Now, the U.S. population as a whole should be covered in terms of vaccine doses available somewhere between the month of May and the month of December.
Help cannot come soon enough for millions struggling to find enough to eat. A familiar scene played out in Houston, a long line of cars picking up food for the holiday, thankful just to have a meal.
And flyers arriving in Los Angeles tonight are being greeted with a...
All right, guys. Christina, you are so up on this one. What Bert was saying was, his question was earlier about people not believing that this is real. I know you probably deal with this every day on your page, right?
Pretty much. I mean, it's just, I just can't like fathom it. I just can't understand the denial that people embrace. What kind of existence is that, to just like look at something that is so obvious, facts, science, evidence, data that is just screaming it at you, and what it takes to just willfully look away from that? Like, I just can't understand it. I can't get it. I don't understand.
Do you think
Christina, have you seen
is
anything
it
like
a
this?
politicized thing though? Right? I mean, people will just politicize the virus.
Is it
because like I don't want to believe it because I'm a Republican, but you Democrats can
Well,
believe
Trump
it.
said it was fake.
I mean, I think that's a big part of
never
it.
going to believe it's true.
Right. I think that's a big part of it. I mean, I don't know if we can, narrow it down to just one sort of ideology or one cause that kind of perpetuated that, but Trump definitely made it worse. I don't think it doesn't need to be political, obviously, but it's become political.
Right.
I think people are naturally people will be afraid of things that they don't understand or drawn away from things that they feel unfamiliar with or uncomfortable with. So naturally, I think this feels so new and scary. People are going to want to deny it or move away from it, but it's kind of exploded into this own entity. It's kind of nutty.
It's bizarre.
But don't you think we're just a spoiled, rotten society, and we want what we want regardless of what it does to anybody else?
That's it. Such an individualistic society. I think that's reflected not only, I think that we've always known that as Americans, but I think COVID has just brought that so clear that this individualistic sort of way of living, which I think people think has what led America to be so successful historically, is clearly our downfall right now.
Yeah.
So I think
agree.
there's a couple of things. There's two things at play here, really. There's psychological rigidity, where people are so afraid and psychologically fragile that they're afraid to accept the reality, so they change their own reality to create a better set of circumstances for themselves. So they're in denial, really. But the second thing, and I'm the one who always says it, a lot of Americans are stupid. You're dumb as a box of rocks. I'm really sorry to say it.
But not us.
Well, not us, but and I'm not even American. I'm Irish, so I'm but a lot of Americans are just plain old ordinary stupid, and they're afraid of what they don't understand, so they're also in denial. But let's not stop giving them excuses, for rejecting Corona. They're just fucking stupid. I'm sorry. We have to say it.
And he can get away with saying that because he says it's so cute.
He needs a little hat.
I mean, I
Excuse.
absolutely agree that it's the education component. We have people that are completely misinformed and people that are ignorant, willfully ignorant, and purposely ignorant. But we, I mean, what else can we do?
There is one good thing about this year. Grandma don't have to worry about getting run over by a reindeer. We just have to worry about little Johnny bringing home the corona.
Well, I
2020 problem.
I think it's interesting. So I go to, the higher end grocery store sometimes, and I'll see there are more maskless people there because I think it is willful ignorance, but it's also an entitlement, right? Of that won't affect me because I live in an echelon where things don't affect me. Yet you go to not lower end, but more, stream, run-of-the-mill grocery store, and you see every single person in there with a mask on because they know if they get coronavirus, their family can't eat, their kids won't be taken care of. Whether or not they believe it or not, they just accept that they might as well just wear a mask just in case. I think that divide is what's scarier in this country. The wealth gap in this country is what is getting so much wider and what is genuinely terrifying.
I agree.
Yeah, and not to give them an excuse, but if you look at their media diet, as far as Fox News and then, oh my God, OAN or Newsmax or some of these websites, they don't hear that it's real. They hear that it's a hoax. They hear that masks don't work. That is what they hear all day, every day. So I've even got a cousin that's a nurse, and she's talking about how masks are tyranny. And I'm like, you're a nurse. What's wrong with you? So it's not an excuse for them, but their entire universe, their whole media diet is telling them that it's not as bad as we're saying it is.
Right.
I think what frustrates me.
Well, real quick, Jonathan, your post about this, I thought spoke volumes because you posted about what does it look like on Fox right before Thanksgiving, and the words coming out of those people's mouths was so deplorable.
They thought it was a joke.
They made
it was a joke.
They made death jokes. It was so bad.
So when that's your entire media diet, when the people that you go to for news are saying it's a joke, how do you take it seriously? And the people that you don't like are taking it seriously. So again, we get into confirmation bias. So,
but
and just what Danielle was,
honey, if they don't wear one, it'll be just one less vote.
But that infects us, though. They're wearing a mask to keep us safe.
But and just what Danielle was saying there about in terms of class divide and entitlement, no better example than Donald Trump himself, who coronavirus was no big deal, and then he got coronavirus, and then it wasn't a big deal because he got millions of dollars worth of healthcare free of charge that the taxpayers paid for, and he walked away a couple of days later, said, I'm immune. God must have given me COVID so that I could show you how easy it is to defeat. Like he said those words, and that just tells all of the rich people in America, don't worry about it, and it tells all of the poor people, well, if the president can survive it, and God is with me, therefore
and
I'm
was
fine.
hyped up on steroids.
They took he took that stupid pill that sounds like it was a movie.
Regeneron.
Medicine. Yeah, Regeneron. Like, it doesn't even sound real.
Made with abortion material, baby.
I'm like, it sounds like unobtainium from Avatar. Like, it's the stupidest name for like a medicine. Regeneron.
Well, I loved how they did those commercials afterwards on TikTok, like Regeneron, it can do anything or whatever. They did like the commercials that were really funny, like the infomercials, like someone selling a plunger. I mean, they did the commercial of the plunger for Trump. That was the best, I thought, but the Regeneron infomercial was also good too.
It almost sounds like if you get your arm sliced off, you take this pill and your arm regenerates. That's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, it is a little
Christina, what are your thoughts on all that?
I wanted to ask Christina.
I recognized the steroid thing. As y'all well know, I have a 91-year-old aunt that I've been, she lives with me. I've been taking care of her for a long time. I had her sister, my other aunt, and her husband. They were all three on steroids at once. And one day they're happy as a lark. The next day they're mad as a wasp. And I mean, it was like, I was ready to pull my hair out by the time all three of them got off of steroids. I was like, you never knew what they were going to be or who they were going to be.
Yep, sounds about right. Sounds about right.
I wanted to ask Christina about the vaccines, like as far as people taking them and how safe they think they are, and just ballpark, what do you think percentage of people are going to be willing to take this vaccine to line up first to take it?
This is the problem, right? I mean, in that news clip you played, Maggie, I mean, it's like, yeah, once we get all these vaccines available, we're all going to be fine, but we're not, because a huge chunk of this country thinks that this vaccine is either going to microchip them or is going to place a tracker in them or is going to cause some long-term issues. I mean, the kind of shit that people are coming up with, it's like, it's really creative. Like, they actually have to think about this shit and come up with this creative. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, well,
yeah, today, yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
No.
Fuckity.
It's okay. We're not.
You have to do it in accent
channel.
like Paddy, though.
Happy Jesus.
We're not in any monetized channels, so we're not going to get.
So we're not going to get dinged for that. So
you gotta say fucking.
Yeah, exactly, with the accent. But I mean, ultimately, the vaccine's only going to be as good as people who are willing to take it. So yeah, like frontline workers, I think we're going to be a priority. Higher risk group will be a priority. Then you're going to run into all these healthcare workers who are already on TikTok who are saying they're not going to take the vaccine, and I don't care if I lose my job. Like, how freaking irresponsible can people be that they'll refuse to take it when they're nurses? Like,
but this is when I go back to it being politicized. It's like,
well, you don't trust
I'm not going to take it because blah blah blah. Or I'm going to take it because of blah blah blah. It's like, if it has Trump's name slapped on it, I'll take it. If it doesn't have Trump's name, I'm not going to take it.
Right.
It's like, I just want to know, is it a safe thing to take?
Yeah. I mean,
if I take it,
as far as we know, all three of the ones that are probably going to come to market soon appear to be safe. Obviously, we don't have long-term data, but most vaccines, if they're going to have problems, are going to be in the immediate anyway. They're not going to be long-term down the road. So, and also with the mRNA vaccine, so messenger RNA is really unstable. So once it does its job, it's gone. It's eliminated from your body. It's not going to hang around at all. So really, I don't see any long-term issues that these could have.
Is it a yearly thing, or is it like the flu virus? Or
I don't think we know. I don't think we know yet. That's the problem. Is we don't know enough about this virus to know if it has seasonality like the flu. We just don't know enough about it. And this is what I keep saying on my page. It's like, everyone's like, back in March they said this and now they say that. I'm like, do y'all not realize that's how science works? And that we just don't know anything about it. So
Isn't it funny the amount of people that have come out who are suddenly doctors?
Yeah.
This my guy who bagged my groceries, he's suddenly
Well, when you have a radiologist over the coronavirus thing at the White House, what do you expect?
I know. It's really sad.
Every guy you went to high school with on Facebook is on this.
That's the reason I never get on Facebook.
Right. And that's the thing.
Then also, sorry, last night then Donald Trump to the troops abroad, was saying how next week, Christina, you're going to have the vaccine. It's going to be rolled out as of next week. And it's what he said next week or the week after, and Donald Trump with his usual in 2 weeks' time argument. But he's telling troops abroad and telling the people of America, next week, Christina, you're going to have the vaccine, so we're going to see if you die or not. Hold on, thanks a million for that.
Not going to happen.
Absolute bullshit. Absolute
what is his goal? Is he saying this like, does he think he's still going to win the election somehow because he pushed the vaccine, or is it like, oh, I gotta?
It's just to make him feel good.
Yeah, I think whatever is on the top of his head at the moment.
And that's what a narcissist does.
That's exactly
he inflates his ego and he makes himself relevant and always doing the best thing. He can do no wrong. That's what a narcissist does. Christina, I have a question for you. Since we just finished having our lovely holiday of Thanksgiving, or Indigenous Peoples Day, whatever you want to call it, what do you think the trajectory of this virus is going to be right now?
Well, thanks for giving me permission to curse, because we are fucked. Guys, we are so screwed. So even if like not as many people travel this Thanksgiving that normally do on previous Thanksgivings, so the issue is not like, I don't think the risk is like on an airplane. I don't think the risk is like en route. The risk, like the news report said, is like in-home gatherings are where the most cases are coming from. So, Jimmy from college and grandma from down the street are all coming over. No one's wearing masks. Everyone's loud, drinking, eating. Like that is the prime way that COVID's going to spread. And we know asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic spread is significant. So I predict that 2 weeks from now, when incubation periods tend to be up to 2 weeks, we're going to have a big spike in hospitalizations. In cases, and then 2 weeks after that, we're going to have a big spike in hospitalizations, and then 2 weeks after that, we're going to have a huge spike in deaths.
Well, considering we're at a peak right now, that is terrifying.
Yep.
What do you say as Americans make such a big deal about this? It wasn't even a federal holiday until 1946.
Because it's tradition, right?
Well,
tradition. What do you say to
dressing.
people though? Like, so okay, let's say this creates this massive influx, which it's going to. Like, but we get this information before Christmas, and because that's another big holiday. People travel, people eat dinners and all that. Are people going to look at what happened in the past few weeks, or the weeks leading up to Christmas?
They're going to do it anyway.
Or they're just going to do it they're going to do it regardless. They're going to say, screw.
And I bet you there's going to be New Year's Eve celebrations right after that. Like, I mean, that's why we're so fucked. And this is what people don't get when they're like, how many people say on my comments, like, oh, hospitals aren't full. I walked into a hospital and it wasn't busy at all. I'm like,
right.
But hospitals are full
because they won't allow people to come see you when you're there.
Exactly. But like the issue is that people who are hospitalized with COVID, they tend to be hospitalized for a long time. Like it's not just a quick 2 days you're in or out. You're in there for weeks and weeks and weeks. So that's why there's no beds, because these people get sick. They get sick as hell and they never leave the hospital or they die. So it's not good, guys. We're screwed. Just stay home.
Yeah, I mean,
year.
I was in the hospital for a day because of a kidney problem, and I was put in the children's ward because they had no rooms anywhere else. But it did look desolate there, but that's because you can't have anyone in there.
Yes.
There was this guy, I think, a room over who tested positive for COVID while he was in the children's ward with me, and they for some reason called his mom on speakerphone. And we all heard this, and they're like, I'm sorry, you can't come and see him, but he tested positive for COVID. And you heard her just break down and go insane, why are you putting that on speakerphone, first of all? Like, Jesus.
And you picked up your little pea bag and started running, right?
Seriously, I'm like, okay. I'm like, am I safe? I was a room over from him. Like,
a lot of the rationale. A lot of the rationale has been, it's okay because it's family. It's okay. It should be fine because it's just family. Don't worry about it. But the reality is, it's mostly family who give it to the rest of the family.
Yeah.
Like it's that cocoon is the most dangerous and toxic environment. Just because people say, oh well, I trust X, Y, or Z because we're family.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, that's terrible. And I posted a video about this today. I really hope that in 2 weeks' time, people don't just think that regret is people realize that regret is not just a word. You know what I mean? Like, because they're going to be going to funerals at Christmas instead of having a holiday.
Honey, that stupidity is going to kick in.
I agree.
And, I don't understand. I mean, you can have Thanksgiving next July. It doesn't have to be in November.
It's just a day to eat food.
And you can make that darn dressing at home yourself.
Yep.
Not like my mama.
Real quick, you guys,
You better learn, honey, because she ain't going to be alive forever.
Well, that's somber.
There is a pretty well-known TikToker. Her name is Rebel Hell. I don't know if anyone follows her.
Yeah.
But you should. She's phenomenal. And she's a political TikToker. And she did a whole a post a couple days ago about how she went and got tested before Thanksgiving, and it came back negative, but she wasn't feeling good. And she was like, oh, well, maybe, but my test says negative. And now she's coming out. She's like, I'm convinced I have COVID. And I know that happens a lot with people, and people are not, Christine, I'm sure you can attest to this. People are, getting tested, but the test results, maybe they're not quarantining for X amount of time afterwards, or it's just false negatives. What can you think of that?
Yeah, this is a problem with the way our testing is right now. So I actually did a post about this recently because there was an article that was published in a I forget where it was published, but it was describing a guy from Dubai to New Zealand, and he had tested negative like 2 days prior as they required, and then he got on the flight and apparently became infectious while he was on the flight, and then infected all these people on the plane upon quarantine in New Zealand. So the issue is that they once you're exposed, like the next day or two, you're probably not going to have detectable virus to pick up positive, right? So it probably won't become to the level of being detectable until a couple of days after that. And then even then, you're not going to get symptoms for a couple of days after that. So there's this period where you're totally infectious, but not symptomatic. So that's the problem with people like, oh, I was negative before I went to see my mom. Like that actually doesn't mean shit. Doesn't mean anything.
The viral load has to be of a certain degree before it'll even detect it.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, the reality is this, folks. The reality is this. I'm in Ireland. I'm still in lockdown. We've been in lockdown for the last few weeks. Cases are down 84% since we went into lockdown. It's almost 5 weeks ago now. Obviously, we're able to do that because the state looks after us financially, which is different, obviously, than the US. We get about $1,800 a month if we're affected by the coronavirus, and mortgages and all of that are kind of pushed down the road. But we made the decision to lock it down because I think we were getting about 20 deaths a week. And that was far too much, far too many for us. So we locked it down, and we made sure that we enforced that. And then the personal responsibility came in, and we have to wear a mask going into any store. If we're even near somebody, we have to wear a mask. We're not allowed within 3 miles of our home to exercise, etc. So we took it extremely seriously. And if you look at New Zealand and some parts of Australia, Asia, the Polynesian Islands, etc., they all did strict lockdowns, and we're all going to be much better off for it than the USA, which is only reacting to the cases rather than being proactive.
So what you point out is exactly the problem with the US, which is exactly number one, our government doesn't help us at all in that regard. So then we're fucked there. Number two, what was the other thing you said about like personal responsibility? Nobody does that
there's
here.
none of that.
Yeah, and there's none of that here because people don't believe it. Number three, when you said 20 deaths a week, I chuckled because I was like, wow, what a dream that would be. And to think that you guys took that seriously, 20 deaths a week, and people here think that 2,000 deaths a day isn't something to take seriously. Like people here are,
I mean, I've heard people say, well, we've had more than that die from, car wrecks.
Car accidents
Who cares?
I never caught a car wreck from somebody.
I never have either.
Don't you guys feel that, COVID has exposed so much about the truly broken parts of our country? And I think the truly broken parts of our country kind of boil down to individual responsibility and morals. I mean, the fact that we have pretty much decided that not in my backyard, like we don't care.
And I'd like to tag on to that lack of empathy, Maggie. The lack of empathy some people have shown. Like Paddy's talking about 20 deaths, and that's too much for them. These people are like, 97%, 98% survival. Like, we'll do the math.
We get more deaths in Arizona a day than you get in a month in Ireland. It's like...
I'm moving to Ireland.
I know, right? Let's all move to Ireland.
And 68% of Republicans who were polled said that the COVID deaths were absolutely acceptable. That was fine. 68% said no problem.
The problem with the COVID deaths is that they keep on doubling. So we were just at 1,000 per day like a couple months ago, and that was horrible. We were even at like a couple hundred per day, and I mean that was also horrible. But now we're at 2,000. If we can get to 2,000, it's just as easy to get to 4,000. And if we can get to 4,000 in our big country, we can get to 8,000, and then 16,000. It's exponential growth, and I'm sure Christine can tell us all about exponential growth.
Yep. It looks like this. Whoop.
Yeah, and Christina, I think I know the answer to this question, but what are the odds of us actually fix, like, because we're so out of control here, like, other than a vaccine, is it even possible to patch this shit up at this point? Like, or are we just plugging holes?
I would say yes, but it's not going to happen without like a shit ton more deaths, like a lot of damage. Not only the deaths, but it's going to take basically the entire healthcare system collapsing, I think, because I think everyone's going to quit from PTSD and from feeling completely unappreciated and from feeling like we're worthless, even though we're busting our asses. So yeah, I think it's going to happen. It's just going to happen with a lot of collateral damage along the way.
So Florida has got a no mask mandate right now, which is kind of the opposite of what we should be doing.
DeSantis.
No mask mandate. Yeah.
Right.
So
you won't allow.
Governor DeSantis said that no county can ever put a mask mandate, and that's the governor of Florida, which he's the worst governor.
Well, he's
I would say
Trump's butt.
Well, there's number one worst governor, which probably is DeSantis. Number two is Georgia's governor.
Yeah.
So
and then
that's just
Texas.
Greg Abbott is.
Okay, yeah, they're all three bad.
When it comes to COVID, Doug Ducey in Arizona was polled as the worst governor in the entire country.
Is it really a contest, though? Is it?
I mean, for them it is. How shitty can I be?
Exactly.
Also, I know it's hard to rationalize this, but Trump might be just trying to make this as bad as possible for when Biden takes over. I don't know if y'all saw Trump's Thanksgiving proclamation, but he said, I encourage you to gather in small groups, in homes, and in places of worship. So he's encouraging people to gather on Thanksgiving. Do not discount him intentionally trying to make this as bad as possible for when Biden takes over.
He's trying to F up everything for Biden. Not just COVID.
I've been thinking that for months, that he's just really just trying to fuck us over as much as he can. So Biden has the absolute worst time fixing any of it, because his supporters are always going to be Trump supporters. They're always going to be there for him. They're always going to do whatever.
Not if they're dead.
Well, yeah, if they're dead, but I mean, even though as much as I hate them, I don't want them to die. Like, I don't want them to spread the shit to my side.
One that marks
Christina, you brought up a really interesting. You brought up something really interesting about fatigue with medical workers.
Oh yeah.
What is it like right now working in a hospital? What is the mental, the physical kind of toll that's being taken on medical professionals right now?
Oh yeah, I mean it's bad. It's bad. I mean, luckily where I live in Massachusetts, so I think Danielle left, but I know she was talking about like how it seems like the kind of more affluent populations tend to be more entitled about masks. So here in Massachusetts, everyone's been really respectful. And I actually found the opposite, that the more kind of affluent areas are much more likely to wear masks and be cautious. But thankfully, our hospital is not overwhelmed right now. We were in April and May, March and April, but I don't anticipate it's going to get that bad again. So thankfully for us, like, we're managing, we're doing okay. I feel bad for all the other places in the country that are like spiking like crazy, and their hospitals are getting rocked. Yeah. It's not good. Because when back in you remember that in like April, May, when every city was doing this like clap at 7 p.m. for all the healthcare workers, and healthcare workers get discounts. I can go in the front of the line at the grocery store, all of that. That doesn't exist anymore. No one cares anymore.
And you're mentioning like the PTSD, like the medical professionals are probably going to, at some point very, very soon, begin to have mental health repercussions from all of this. And
totally true. I mean, because people, how many times people have said to me like, well, it's your job, you asked for it, or like, this is something, okay, sure. We're used to death and we're used to suffering, and that's what we see, but not this. Like, this is a different level of like suffering and death and illness and, willful ignorance. And it's just different. It sucks.
Well, it's a lack of empathy for you guys. Yeah.
But what's the difference between you guys and the military and the armed services, and thank you for your service and draping yourself on the flag and yay for the troops and we're the greatest country in the world and all of that? Are you not on the front lines? Are you not risking your life every single day? Are you not in the trenches with dead people everywhere? Are you not those people as well? Right. So why the fuck are people like raising up black flags and going, oh, this is the American flag and all of this horse shit. And when you guys are in the trenches and people literally, as you said, don't give a shit anymore because you guys are now conspiracy theorists.
Yep.
Because it can't possibly be as bad as you guys are saying.
Exactly.
Remember when we had the sing along with all the celebrities and they did like a "We Are the World" kind of thing for Corona, and it was all about rainbows and it was like, let's support our medical professionals. It has completely shifted now.
Mm-hmm.
And in the front of my house, we have this big sign and we wrote, "Thank you, essential workers," with a big rainbow, and my kids put handprints on it and we leave it out there and it's still there to this day because everyone that brings us groceries is still an essential worker.
Mm-hmm.
Doing hard work. Nothing has changed. The work is being done. The people working in the hospitals, it's being done. It's just unreal that our country is so devoid of empathy at this point.
Mm-hmm. I really feel proud to be an American because, Donald Trump, he stepped up. He had those jets flying over those hospitals to honor all the nurses. That was just the nicest thing ever. Back in March, flying over. I can just hear it right now.
Yeah, and getting people to go outside and be together to watch.
No, it's just ridiculous. It was not what the nurses needed. They needed actual masks. They needed gloves. They don't need airplanes to fly over.
No. And that wasn't cheap either, Bert. That wasn't cheap either.
I don't know what Trump was thinking. He was saying in speeches like, "Oh, we are gonna have the flights going over all of the hospitals. It's gonna be the best hospital flyover in the whole." I'm learning all about Trump.
He's a reality TV host.
Can I get a safety check on Bert, please? Can I get a safety check? Thank you. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Can I have an aisle check on aisle 45?
He's speaking in tongue.
Oh my God, I just made a poopy in my panties. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Just bear with me for 2 moments. Thank you.
Yeah. Hashtag diaper panda.
Diaper. Oh no! Never again. Not since last year. No.
Donald Trump probably thought those airplanes were literally invisible anyway. So
No, he thought they were flying for him.
Yep.
Oh, that's true.
Yep.
Trump really likes those military parades. He had military parades in 2018 too. Like after China had theirs in 2017, he's like, I need to have also very special parades for myself because Xi Jinping isn't the only one who gets to have all the fun.
In France.
Can I get an update on that safety check, please? Can I get an update on the safety check?
Take him out. Take him out.
I think his t-shirt is too tight. I think that's the problem.
Leave that man alone. Amanda said she liked his shirt. You leave him alone.
It's because of Thanksgiving. It's because of Thanksgiving. It's too tight.
You had a salad for Thanksgiving.
That's true. First of all, I had a salad for Thanksgiving.
No, Thanksgiving.
You put marshmallows into your spuds. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
America.
I did a big food review on the day before Thanksgiving. So I did a big Jollibee, Kane's Chicken to honor Kane, the guy that died. So I did a food review on them both with another creator.
Herman.
Yeah. Kane's Chicken. It's the guy that
he died.
Well, you guys, we've hit our 1.5 hour mark. And I just wanted to say thank you all for coming on, and we've had a great show. We're going to wrap it up now. I've got a really awesome video from the Lincoln Project. I think it speaks volumes to what we've been talking about, this entire time, and a lot of being thankful during this time for the things that we do have. So let's watch that, and after that's done, it'll be over. But you guys can stick around, the people that are in the show. We can talk afterwards. So thank you all for coming. And before we leave, I want everyone to kind of give a synopsis of your kind of bio and let everyone know about your page. Let's start with Amanda.
Hey, Amanda Henn, also known as Nadineiswoke. I don't even know what that means, but whatever. I'm on TikTok. Bert put me on Twitter. Let's see. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, I'm all over the place. I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, next, BrainDaddy.
Oh, God bless it. I'm just one of 2 fat guys on TikTok who have minor clout. The other one is that Irish fella.
Thank you very much.
Hey, have you handled your Cersei Lannister
Shots
problem
fired.
up there in Ireland?
Okay, calm down.
Up in the north. Up in the north. The north.
Shocking behavior.
Your Cersei Lannister problem. Up there. No?
Is that me or is it everybody else?
I don't know. What? Who's everybody
Jonathan,
else?
have I told you your hair looks beautiful tonight?
Thank you. Oh. My hair looks old.
Moving on.
Get off of my face!
BrainDaddy, do you want to talk about your page real quick?
I have a page on TikTok, I guess.
Which one?
Stuff. Oh, shut up. God. I have a backup page because I got banned. For showing a shirtless picture of Donald Trump. Don't do it. It's ill-advised. It was a cartoon. It wasn't even real.
All right, next we have Christina.
Fabulous.
Christina NP with 7 A's. So Christina NP, I'm on TikTok and Instagram on the same handle. I'm a nurse practitioner. I talk about a lot of COVID education, addressing misinformation and myths, calling people out, and just injecting a little humor and trying to have some fun while correcting bullshit out there.
Awesome. All right, next, Jonathan Davis. Some people like it.
Jonathan Davis, some people like it, on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. I only have a TikTok account so I can comment on Christina's posts. And yeah, find me and follow me. Political humor, bad skits. It's fun.
Awesome. And Paddy the Panda.
Hey everyone, I'm Paddy the Panda. So yeah, my TikTok is Paddy the Panda, and I only have one account. And you can find on my YouTube channel, Paddy the Panda. There's a banner with all of my info on there. Again, if you're looking for a bit of banter, a bit of fun, a charming Irish accent, my hair is growing every day, and some political content. I've always been right. Just to be clear, I've always been right, and I do these kind of sexy deep breath videos every morning. See you tomorrow.
Thirst trap waiting to happen.
Love it.
They scare me.
I've always wanted to pet a panda.
Next, we've got Food Expert.
So I wanted to say that everybody's information is down below. You can find it in the description, and it's
open
way
up. This
down
is
below.
a safety check. Open up.
So-
This is a safety check.
Everyone can, everyone can follow everybody on this whole thing. And Dutchess is not here right now, so let's plug her really fast. Also, her information is down below. I don't know where she went.
Hilarious.
I think she had a bad connection. But her TikTok is down below, along with the Instagram and everything. And then, so my YouTube channel is called Food Expert, and I come from California, and I travel the world, and I try to show you guys cool stuff around the world. And today, I'm apparently a political activist with all you guys because I can't stand Donald Trump. And I've been like that the last 3 months, starting this whole thing with Walter Masterson and Lord Timothais, which is also streaming this right now. So thank you, Lord Timothais, for letting us stream on your channel on YouTube.
Wow,
And Maya 2960 was the original people that started this thing. So yeah, anyways, we started this all together, and now we got 40 people in this group. So we're always changing it up and letting people join, and just everyone's able to host their own if they want. So anyways, it's just really a lot of fun. So
And of those 40 people, and of those 40 people, 15 of those are BrainDaddy.
I got 2 accounts.
Nailed it.
2.
I'm sorry.
Shut up.
Sorry, not sorry.
Y'all need to have a show.
We do need to have a show.
Yeah.
All right, well, you guys, I'm Mermaidmamamaggie or Maggie Reed. Bert is so nice to let me host on Fridays, and so I'm more than willing to do it, and I'm so happy to be here. I had some weird technical difficulties tonight, but hopefully it'll be resolved again. But thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a great week, and let's see what kind of crazy shenanigans happens next week. So we're going to do our outro video right now. Thanks for coming, guys.
Bye.